Okay, so today we're going to do a Keep It kit that's made by Amino Labs, and the idea of the Keep It kit is after you've spent a few days doing your genetic engineering experiments and pigment production, you might want to hang on to some of the beautiful bacteria that you've made, like these ones here. So they're nice raspberry red. It's very nice. And so the Keep It kit is meant to help you do that. And so what you want to do is, after you've created your bacteria, you want to let them dry a little bit. You want the surface of the bacteria and the agar to be quite dry. So typically you can take the lid off and let it sit for a few hours, and that will eliminate any pooling. You don't want to let it sit out for overnight with the lid off. You can probably put the lid on and let it sit overnight with the lid up, so that some of the vapor can escape. But if you want just a couple of hours with the lid off, just make sure there's no pooling at all, and then you're good to go. And typically you'll do this after you've completely used the plate. So for example, maybe you've done some bioproduction using the BioExplorer, or maybe you've painted some bio art with a canvas kit, or you've just done the experiment and you're excited about keeping your results. And you'll typically do this in lieu of inactivating. So if you're going to inactivate your samples using bleach, then they're gone forever. So this is just to prevent that. Okay, so there's three main components to the Keep It kit. There are two resins, two-part resin, and then we've got a little stand, which I'll show you how it works later. You always want to wear gloves when you're doing this, no exceptions, and you probably want to wear eyeglasses, or safety glasses. And this is an example of an output. So this is a nice, beautiful blue bacteria. I think this is blueberry blue that we did, and didn't want to part with it, so we embedded it in the epoxy, and so now you can see it's nice and clear, and we can hang on to that and show it with our friends. Show it to our friends. And so you always want to lay down some paper towels or a newspaper when you're doing this. It can be a little bit messy. It's usually not too bad. So there's two different epoxies. As I said, you want to get it ready by loosening one of them. So loosening the syringe of one. We're then going to open up the baggie of the other and take the rest of this plug out. Put this right down the middle, and you're going to inject it all in. Okay, and then we're going to zip the bag back up, and you can see there's the two different resins there. Just going to mix them around for about 2 minutes. You want to be kind of gentle when you're doing this. You don't want to create too many bubbles, or else you'll have bubbles in your resin. Okay, so it's been a minute or two of just moving it around. I don't see any of each particular resin. It looks like it's two of them together now. So now what I'm going to do is, you always make sure that the top is zipped. I'm just going to pinch the bottom corner, and I'm going to take some scissors and I'm just going to clip like 3 millimeters off that corner, so just a little bit. If you've ever made pastries and you've used one of those icing bags, it's kind of the same principle. So now we're just going to squirt it onto the plate very slowly and in a controlled manner. Even let gravity do most of the work. There you go. Okay, so that's one plate that's done. If you've got another plate, and I just happen to right here, we've got a nice purple one. This was a positive control. Got a beautiful, look at that. Wow, it's just like the color, just amazing. This one has been drying for a while as well. And so I'm just going to do the same thing. I'm just going to gently put it on the surface. There we go. And you can see I have even more. So I could do 3 plates if I want, or I could even just add more so that it's nice and full. Really depends on how much agar was in your plate. If it was right full of agar when you made your cells, then it will take less epoxy. Okay, so that's that. I'm going to throw this in the garbage immediately so it doesn't make a mess everywhere. I'm going to throw these out as well. And I can throw this. Okay. Alright, now I'm just going to let these sit. Now there is a trick if you're an adult or you have an adult with you, you can use a lighter to burst any bubbles that are on the surface. So actually I'm going to go get a lighter if I don't have one on me here. Let me just see here. Yeah, oh no, I do actually. Great, so I have a lighter here, and the little butane ones that have the much hotter flame, they're better, but you can just ride this around the surface just very gently, and this is actually going to cause any bubbles to burst. Okay, careful not to burn yourself, and always have an adult with you when you're doing this. There we go. So you can see some of the big bubbles are gone. Some of these other smaller bubbles are going to keep coming to the surface, but unless they're right at the surface, you can't do too much about that. So now you just let your plate sit for the night, the day and night. It takes about 24 hours to fully harden. They get pretty hard after only an hour, so and then you can move them. But if you can leave them in the space for a little longer, that's great. And just to show you how the stand works, you just hook here. So on the back here you can put the bacteria type. So I used K12 E. coli, and I had 2 colors. I could put like raspberry on there, and then the date, and then it just sits like so, and you can just put it on your desk, or you can put it on your shelf, or wherever you want. Okay, so I'm just gonna let these sit, and we'll come back in a couple hours, and we'll be able to move them at that point to a safer location. Okay, see you in a bit. Okay, so we're back after about an hour or so, and we're just gonna have a little look here. So they're clearly quite solid now. Definitely not moving at all, so that's great. That means we can now move them to a different location, off your bench, for example. I'm just going to set them up higher on a shelf and let them to sit for another 12-24 hours. They should be nice and solid, rock hard in a couple of days. And just as a preview what it might look like, let's see, finished yours. There you go. So you can